What's beeping down there?
Low battery.
Okay, better hurry then.
It's on.
Huh?
It's on.
It's recording? Oh, okay. SB2ce. We're going to combine two elements this morning and cover the basics. Using Mendel's laws, explain the role of meiosis in the reproductive variability. In E, compare the advantages of sexual reproduction and over asexual reproduction in different situations. Alright, Mendel. I'm not going to talk about his pea plants because you already know that. But from his work with his pea plants, he concluded that biological inheritance is determined by factors that are passed from one generation to the next. These factors are called genes. Second conclusion, the principle of dominance. Some alleles, and we know that alleles are alternate versions of genes. For example, you have the gene for plant height, and you have two alternate versions. You have one allele for tall, one allele for short, are dominant to others. Segregation during the formation of gametes allows for these alleles to be passed on. Independent assortment. Also, Mendel found out that these genes do not influence each other when they're passed on to the next generation. So you can have a tall plant with yellow seeds and a short plant with green seeds, but the color independently assorts from the height. So you can have all different variations of those traits. This also happens during the formation of gametes. So when these gametes are formed, all these genes are separated out and they do not depend on each other when they assort. There are exceptions to Mendel's principles. You have incomplete dominance, which that's the red and white make pink when you produce a third trait. You have codominance when both traits are dominant, and like in blood type, when you have AB blood type, you have multiple alleles. So in any individual, you can only have two alleles for a trait, but in a population, like of rabbits, you can have 4 different colors. And then polygenic traits, which means poly, again, means many. So you have several different genes that control a specific trait, like eye color. So, how do these genes form? Chromosomes are the structures in the cell where the genes are located. Every organism has a certain number of chromosomes, and these chromosomes are in pairs. So, these pairs are called homologous. Homo means same. These pairs that are homologous are paired up, and if a cell in any organism has both sets of this, it's diploid. So in humans, for example, all of your body cells have 46 homologous chromosomes, or 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes. And these chromosomes split up in a process called meiosis. Meiosis is the process which the number of chromosomes is divided in half. So you start out with a diploid cell that has, in humans, 23 pairs, and you end up with gametes that have half of that have only 23 chromosomes, half the number. So meiosis produces 4 haploid, which means half instead of diploid, gametes, and the gametes are the egg cell or the sperm cell, that are genetically varied, which means they're not identical to the parent. Meiosis has 2 sets of phases, whereas mitosis only has 1 set. Meiosis has 2 sets of phases that produces, so there's 2 different divisions. So, what are the advantages? The production of varied gametes that are combined from 2 different parents to produce offspring allows for genetic variability within a species. Some plants can reproduce asexually and sexually, but if they can reproduce asexually, that can be good because asexual reproduction can happen a lot faster. The organism can do it quickly, it can do it over and over and over and over again, but all of the offspring are going to be genetically identical. So one disease, one problem attacks, it could wipe out all of them. Meiosis and the laws that Mendel found out allow for these organisms to produce offspring that are varied from the parent. And variability is a good thing for a species. So why would this influence the survival of a species? All right, so meiosis, variability. So my gametes had half of my chromosomes, and all of that independently assorted with my traits. Catherine's gametes independently assorted and produced haploid cells that combined to produce this. So see which traits were passed on and which traits from each parent shepherd actually expresses.